Hello, day 47 of our reflective tarot read, and today it's Hod of Malchut, so it's the 8th and the 10th Sephirot. So we got the 8 of Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles for Malchut, and it is the path of judgment between Malchut and Hod. In Hod today, I'll be looking at things like submission, surrender, inspiration, devotion, diversity, and with Malchut we'll look at Shekinah, the divine feminine presence, manifestation, service, self-possession. So I'll start with this Judgment card. That's where my reflection started. So I looked up the word judgment just to check the, because often I think I know a word and then you see the actual definition and it's slightly different. Well, in the Oxford Dictionary it says making a sound decision after considering all the options. So I thought, well, the path of judgment is cementing the personality in all its elements, really. Feelings, perceptions, passion, intellect, emotion, our 5 senses, kind of integrating and bringing balance and a realization that there are many options beyond the material. So a bigger reality. So when we grasp this, we get this kind of integration of the personality, and then we grasp the fact that the world's bigger. It kind of follows a death and regeneration, a rebirth, a mystical, spiritual experience. So in light of looking at the Judgment card like this, the 8 of Pentacles, I thought, could be seen as a craftsman at his work, could be seen as a repetitive task of learning life's lessons. I mean, he's doing the same, he's chiseling the same pentacle. Yeah, so this sense of looking at patterns, the repeating patterns, and perfecting, really, as far as we're able, our expression into the world of Malchut. The 8s in Hod, which represent Hod, they sit under the structure and discipline of Geber, under there, on that receptive pillar of severity, so the feminine receptive. So words for Hod, like this is like a submission and a surrender to life itself, the life force of those energies coming down, and an expression into Malchut through us in whatever form this takes. So in that sense, it's like a inspired devotion to whatever task is at hand, to work, to kind of carve and chisel our pattern into the marble, the structure, and the structure of Malchut, and to understand our patterns within the whole tree. It's not just about Hod, the whole tree is in Hod, as Hod is in the whole tree. So, the whole, to see our place within the whole, to understand the patterns within the whole, and the diversity of expression of the whole, and to learn that we're part of an overarching pattern of life. Like this 10 of Pentacles, that's, for me, that's in view of these, like the collective. So we slot into a unique place. I mean, each of those have a unique place. There's the child, the dogs, the elder, the man, the woman, So slotting into that unique place in order to manifest our unique talents and abilities here in Malkuth. So, you know, we can be someone working alone or as a craftsperson, or someone within the, you know, the marketplace. You could be a merchant or whatever. But it's like, yeah, us manifesting whatever those unique talents and abilities are, but an acknowledgement then that it's in a long ancestral line of expression. So it's not just our expression, we're the result, our DNA, of a long ancestral pattern, and collectively we're part of a long ancestral line of expression. So it's to rebuild ourselves and regenerate and align with a larger blueprint, that Shekinah, that kind of divine presence in Malkuth. That's what we're aligning for. So it's a connection and co-creation with the wider family, our lineage, our story. And I was thinking in terms of that, we're in an incredible age now, and it's one where our true story is emerging. We've had this kind of overarching, almost control patriarchal story, you know, even his story, it's his story, you've heard all that. But we're living in a time now where our true story is emerging. We've got the resources to look at information, the internet, understand our kind of individual and collective myths. And I was thinking, we're in the midst of releasing archetypal energy patterns in our world, in this Malkuth right now. That we're kind of, there's an ignition and a nurturing of a new consciousness. It's brand new. We're discovering, you just go look all the information online, and we're rediscovering the ancient buried stories, you know, as we access that collated information that's from the four corners of the earth. We've got ancient sites emerging. Göbekli Tepe, I'm not sure how many years ago, but it's pretty recent. You know, that's emerged, and it's challenged the narrative of ancient people and even ages, you know, and civilization. So it's challenging that kind of spoon-fed history we've had. And then we got the science within quantum theory, and it's confirming ancient myth, the stories from the East, and the Gnostic stories, the mystical stories. So it's confirming the unseen, the quantum physics. It's breaking the old scientific paradigms and reaffirming in modern minds what the mystics and shamans and the priestess builders, ancient builders, knew. So I was thinking, it's like we've turned 180 degrees, you know, back into history in this Aquarian age. So we're kind of looking at the age of Leo 12,000 years ago, in a sense. You know, that time, the Sphinx builders and those who knew the magic of symbolic language, you know, the hieroglyphs, the way that was all built. So I was reflecting on all those things. I love the ancient history, so I'm kind of reflecting on that. And I'm thinking now, we've got access and we're relearning ancient knowledge, collective and individually, as we evolve with science, the new science, and self-knowledge. So I'm thinking, in terms of this judgment, it really is time to make sound decisions and consider this kind of plethora of options we've got. and make a judgment that will rebirth a new age. It's what we're here for. It's incredible. So there's that sense of learning, sovereignty and self-possession. You know, that's of the Hod, sovereignty and self-possession. Sorry, that's of Malchut. And what was I saying? Yeah, to learn sovereignty and self-possession of the Malchut. That's inspired like by the diversity of our collective ancestral lineage. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me, and informed by our present moment, you know. So in that respect, we're living in amazing times because we are the initiates, you know, to use the ancient mystery language. We are the initiates of a new age. And how we respond will affect the collective of future generations. You know, we've only got to look at what decision are we going to make about the environment, what's happening in the environment. So I'm thinking that's where we need to reflect on our individual abilities, talents, our patterns, make those sound decisions, those sound judgments on what you're here for, what I'm here for, what each individual to bring for the future collective. Because we are the future ancestors. We've got to look at it in that way. We are the future ancestors. What we do now is, you know, I've been reading a book by Betty Kovacs called Merchants of Light, and she said an energy field is activated when we work on what is decayed. You know, the Tree of Life talks about the Tikkamolum, repair of the world. So in that sense, it's like working with what is decayed. Our ancestral lineage is decayed. We've lost our ancient stories. Yeah, there's that sense of losing that line of mysticism, of the shamanic knowledge, of the, you know, that ancient, really important ancient lineage. So I was asking myself, well, what am I resurrecting, regenerating, rebirthing on this path of judgment? You know, and we're right at the end, the last few days of counting the Omer, so it's good to contemplate that question. Spirit responds to this incredibly. What am I here for, you know? There's a quote I love from The Secret Life of Bees, and it says, stories have to be told or they die. And when they die, we can't remember who we are or why we're here. Yeah. So that I know my reflections this week have been pretty broad, but it is about our individual and collective place in the world. So there's that big sense of, you know, there are big questions to ask. So I'll pull us, oh, I was looking for that crystal. Oh, I've dropped it on the floor now. I'll pull us, oh, and if you didn't notice yesterday, I pulled us a Heroes. Oh, that's it. I pulled us a Heroes deck, and there was some information on it that was really poignant. So yesterday I put the quote from the card onto the bottom of the tab. Sorry, I'm back in here. So we've got, I've pulled here, or it kept flipped out. What would your higher self do? You were divinity in blue jeans. Yeah, it's kind of that, we're the ancestors in quantum covers, really. We're so it says, like, it talks about our deity. You're a deity in jeans and a t-shirt, and within you dwells the infinite wisdom of the ages. Wow. And the sacred creative force of all that is, will be, and ever was. I can't believe it. It says, from a quantum field perspective, there's only one of us here. Your guides, inner and outer, are all part of the sea of brilliance in which you swim. You're drenched with higher guidance, and if you choose, you can trust it to lead you to your own wisdom. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, every man is a divinity in disguise, a god playing the fool. And Rumi said, I've been a seeker and I still am, but I've stopped asking the books and the stars. I started listening to the teacher of my soul. In other words, the sum total of all outward guidance in the world doesn't hold a candle to the wisdom of the guiding force within you. Remember, you're at one with the one. Open your heart to the divine within you, and open your journal, grab a pen and allow your inner wisdom to pour through you. When you open your mouth to speak, allow this highest perspective to be expressed through you. Yeah. So, I mean, that kind of reflects what I was saying, you know. We're of a lineage, we're of an ancestral lineage, a collective ancestral lineage. We will be an ancestral lineage, you know. What we learn, what we produce here will affect what's been produced, has effects. So it's kind of about reclaiming your true self, true wisdom, true knowledge of yourself, your divinity, you know, your expression within source. So, and I mean, recently, you know, over probably since the 1960s again, there was a real turn. And personally, I think there was a massive turn after the 50s when they learnt how to split the atom and have nuclear power. There seems to have been a real turn in consciousness then, but I've lost my thread, what I was saying. Yeah, but we're moving into a higher consciousness. It's and the rise of the feminine, you know. I mean, it's not about having a patriarchal or a matriarchal system. If you look back, you know, it's called matrifocal. So it's about the nurture and nourishment of the whole. That's the kind of thing that we need to be focused on. How can we nourish one another? How can we nourish the earth? How can we keep things nourished for future generations? I mean, it's so important. We've lost that. Yeah, communication, expression again. We got the blues. What will your higher self do? Your divinity in blue jeans. What's your inner wisdom? I mean, spirits communicating constantly, as far as I'm concerned. You don't have to wait for revelation. If you're open, it's round every corner, you know. But it is to do with our connection. I mean, if you look in that communication card there, that is kind of that telepathic communication, but it is that kind of solid connection, you know. You're not going to have nature communicate to you if you're not out in it, you know, if you're not going out to nature. If you don't see nature as important, it's not going to communicate to you. So it's really about our connectivity. And it's like, you know, if we're not bothered about the future generations, we're not going to be working towards handing on, you know, something that is worthwhile to them, a way of being, you know. So yeah, communication, spirit constantly communicates. The quantum field source, whatever you want to call it, communicates constantly. Everything, I keep saying it, everything is connected. So it's like, get into that connection, get into that wisdom, know your worth, discover your talents and abilities, get rid of those patterns that are, any patterns that are destructive. Not get rid of them, acknowledge them and choose not to follow them, you know, and work for the collective, make those sound choices. I'm going to pull us an elemental and then a message card to wrap up. Yeah, they're big things, they're big. We often get so caught up, and I think we've been taught to be so individualistic, especially in the West. We, you know, in the East, well, what they did, I'm not sure now, it's getting all commercialised, but they did think in terms of community. It's stopped here in the West. We've lost that sense of, you know, it's about me, I and myself. And the indigenous, you know, if you read stuff they write, they're always talking about whatever you do, think of the next 7 generation, or words to those effects. Yeah, Earth card again. Yeah, trust your inner strength and reap the benefits. Blue again, we got this blue theme. So we're looking throat chakra. It's not what we're dealing with today, but it is about expression. You know, throat chakra is all about your expression. So trust it. Trust your higher self. What would your higher self do? Trust it. Trust your inner wisdom. Know that you're connected into, what do they call it? The Akashic field. The Akashic field is the collective consciousness of, as far as I'm concerned, of everyone who has been, everyone who will be. It's outside of time. It's all there for us to tap into if, you know, it's a sense of love and we're wanting to, you know, support the whole. It's an organism. We're a living body, the whole lot of us. So, oh, that's pretty. If you can see the artwork, it's very pretty artwork. Work daily towards improving your mental health. I think we all need to do that, especially after 2020. But, you know, inner strength, communication, what would your higher self do? We're talking about choices, wisdom, patterns, yeah. You improve your mental health by being out in nature, by being with other people. You know, there's so many ways to do that. Anyway, they are your messages. I hope they're helpful. Lots of love. See you tomorrow.